so proud to be Haitian because just everything about being Haitian is just awesome.
You know, everyone know about the history of Haiti, first Black independent country in 1804.
Understanding the history of Haitian people, you can't help but be proud of the accomplishment that have happened.
Haitian Americans have done really well in the past few years. There's still a lot more work to be done. Only about 20% of us actually have a bachelor's degree.
I understand firsthand some of the challenges that Haitian American students, graduates, and professionals have faced.
Some of them have overcome incredible adversity.
Both immigrated or asylum seekers or refugees.
There are not that many Haitian-focused scholarships, but like any other award, the NAAHP Leadership Award is providing recognition for one's hard work.
As we know, college is expensive, so the scholarship fund provides the chance for a brighter future.
It felt like the universe was speaking, like I needed the money, I was intrigued, people were telling me to apply.
Going to college or graduate school can be very, very expensive. So donating to a scholarship like this would help that expense be more manageable.
Future generation of leaders, scholars, entrepreneurs,
young adults that are trying to make something of their lives.
They are rock stars. They just need the help, and they need us to help them accomplish it.
There's like this Haitian proverb that says, "Mais en pile chat palu," many hands make the load lighter.
Log in and you can donate $10, $25, $50.
It makes me think of the Malcolm X quote that education is our passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. It makes me happy to know that our organization is contributing to that goal, preparing others for the future.
Greetings and welcome to College Planning with the National Alliance for the Advancement of Haitian Professionals. I'm Dr. Ketsia Sadler. I'm the founder of College Cafe, and I welcome you to our 7th installment in this lecture webinar series. First, I want to thank our partners, the NAAHP, and also Book It Right Accountancy and Shokarela. And so welcome everyone tonight. We are so excited to have two guests with me who are going to be talking about some amazing things, because we know we've got some seniors in the audience. It is crunch time for applications. So I'm going to get started with their introductions first. We have a returning guest, Mr. Calvin Conyers, who is the Chief Enrollment Officer at the Benjamin Franklin Institute of Technology. He has served as the Senior Associate Director of Admissions at Wheeler College and also in the Admissions Office at Mount Ida College. He received the People Making a Difference in Our Community Award by the National Urban League, Incentives to Excel and Succeed. He received a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration and a Certificate in Leadership Studies from Mount Ida College and his MA in Communications with a focus in education from Grand Canyon University. Welcome, Mr. Conyers. And as our newest friend guest to this webinar college series, we have Dr. Deborah Manning, who is the Assistant Dean of Adjunct Administration for Bergen Community College. Her role is to ensure the administrative needs of approximately 600 plus adjuncts. She is also an adjunct professor at Bergen Community College, where she teaches Introduction to Sociology, Sociology and the Family, and Women in Gender Roles. She has a BS in Business Administration from St. Peter's College, an MBA with a concentration in Human Resource Management, an MS in Accountancy from St. Peter's University, and an EDD in Community College Leadership from National American University in Rapid City, South Dakota. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much. I'm really excited to have you all here with me. You know, college planning, college financial aid is one of my passions. I'm always looking forward to opportunities to share with the students. So before we get started, I just want you all to kind of just give a quick overview of your academic pathways, which help you to get to where you are now in your role. So we'll start with you, Calvin. Even though you were here before, I'm sure a lot of people who don't know you. So thanks for sharing with us.
Definitely. Growing up, I didn't really know. Well, growing up, I knew that eventually college was something that I had to. It was pretty much like no option. I had to go to college. That was something that my parents was really pushing on me. So it was really just me really trying to figure out what exactly I wanted to study. I knew at the end of the day I wanted to be someone's boss, I didn't know what and what type of, manner, but I knew that I wanted to be someone's boss, and I knew that I wanted to be able to work with people. So, I got interested in business. I figured business was pretty broad enough that I could, figure out my pathway once I get into that type of study. So I went on to Moderator College from Englewood, New Jersey, and I studied business administration. Then I really just started to focus more so on the leadership side. So I picked up the leadership certificate as well. Then after that, I didn't really know exactly where I wanted to go. I knew that I wanted to work with people, like I said. So I started doing work in advertising and marketing. But then a position opened in the admissions office where I would be able to really just go and talk to students and really just get them interested in going to college. And that's when I really started to really get interested in this whole higher ed industry. And then from there, I just really just started to develop a love and a passion for just helping students through the admission process and figure out exactly what they want to do with their, with their lives. I remember being that senior in high school trying to figure out, do I go far away? Do I stay home? Just trying to figure out that balance. So I was able to do that. And that's something that I fell in love with. And 16 years later, I'm still doing this, this line of work. And I had no intentions of going into higher ed. It wasn't something that I grew up, wanting to do, but it was something that I fell in love with because of the opportunities that were at hand. And then, I just continued my studies from there. So, I mean, that's pretty much my, how I got to where I am now. During that time, I also did study online, a master's in communications with a emphasis in education.
Okay. All right. So you definitely doing what you love in a different way.
Very.
Kind of switched up that. Okay, Dr. Deborah, your turn. Please tell us about you and how you ended up at BCC.
Wow, what a journey it's been, actually. I started out knowing what I wanted to do, actually, but it definitely took a different direction. I always wanted to be a pediatrician growing up. I knew I loved helping heal people. I had two parents who were sickly, and I lost my parents at an early age, and so it kind of drove me to want to get into that field. But then finding out what was so involved in being a pediatrician, and then having a little queasy about being around blood. So I kind of looked at things a little differently, and I think it was my first year of college. I went to University of Pittsburgh. I wanted to go away and kind of explore and see how, life was on campus at Pitt. And that was the year my dad passed away, and I wound up coming back home. And it was my first year of college, and so much had changed because I had already lost my mom at 8. So I had all these different emotions. What am I going to do next? Am I going to go back to Pitt, or am I going to transfer to a school, closer to home, which I wind up doing. And I've had so many different paths in terms of school. I wish I knew now. I wish I knew then what I know now, and somebody to help me along the way to kind of give me some direction and in schooling. But, I went through a few different schools, Elizabeth Seton College in New York. I went to Fairleigh Dickinson College. I mean, I had credits at all these different schools, and never pursuing the original path of being a pediatrician, because I knew at that point that as much as I wanted to help people heal them, that I guess I just wasn't cut out for that. And so I went into human resources. I got an opportunity to work at a office as a human resource HRS manager, which was information systems. And so I loved that. I did that for several years. But it was so funny, though. When I talk about helping people, I learned to also, I had this passion to teach as well. And so I worked, I don't know if you remember it, I'm kind of dating myself, but I think it was called Palisades School of Technology out there, the Bergen Mall, which is no longer the Bergen Mall. It's now, what's that? By right out there on Route 4. There was a school of technology, and it was for adult learners. And I used to teach medical billing and coding. And so I really, really enjoyed that, actually, because I used to do that as well. So I've had my hands in a lot of different things. And so I explored medical coding and billing. I went into human resource management, and which kind of led me from information systems into still teaching like 7 years part-time in the evening, adult learners, and then landing an opportunity at Bergen in the human resources department, not where I wanted to necessarily be at the moment, but I knew it was a foot in the door. And did I want to be a full-time teacher? Not so much. I enjoyed teaching part-time, but, and while I'm doing all that, I'm still in school, even though it didn't work out at Elizabeth Seton, didn't work out at Fairleigh Dickinson. And, because of home responsibilities, got married, had children. And I mean, my journey to getting my degrees has spanned over, oh boy, maybe like 20 years, to be quite honest. And I always had that drive, never gave up on that dream of where I wanted to be in life and what I wanted for myself. And so I eventually, as I'm simultaneously working at, before I got to Bergen, I was working at this other place where I was an information systems manager. And then I was going to school full-time, part-time, working there full-time, where Elizabeth, was it not Elizabeth Seton, but St. Peter's is where I got my bachelor's. I transferred all my credits there. They worked with me. I got my bachelor's degree. And then there was a program where I can get my master's at the same time. I'm like, wow, am I chewing off more than I could handle? And it was a double master's degree. I went ahead and I did that. And then when I went on to Bergen, moving in a different direction, because again, I wanted to get into academia, I had an opportunity where they were offering a doctorate degree program. And I never forget my nephew saying to me, "Oh, Deb, go for it. What else do you have to do? I mean, they're going to pay for it." And I'm like, wow. And so here I am, like 4 years later, having achieved that, been at Bergen now going on 8 years, teaching there the same amount of time of when I started there. It was just a month later I started teaching, and still with my role as a HRS generalist at the time. And then an opportunity opened up into the adjunct administration department, where I went in as assistant dean of adjunct administration. And so my journey has really been pretty broad. I've had, different opportunities. I've been able to explore a lot of different opportunities, and finally found my niche, something that I really, really love and enjoy. And, it was just helping students find, success and wherever that is, and so so far, it's been really great. I've had opportunities now, writing different articles on culturally responsive teaching. I've done that in diverse issues in higher education. I have my first article there, was just published in June. And now I'm working on the second one that I just actually completed with another colleague of mine. And that's also similar to that, but about underrepresented students, and helping them to succeed and the barriers that they face. So the struggle continues, to get the word out and and help young people and faculty understand the responsibilities that we have to our students and how we can help them to be successful.
Well, thank you. In listening to both of you, what I see is that your underlying goals and your mission, even though you're not doing exactly what you set out to do, you're still doing it anyway. You're helping people, whether it's medically, you're not working with little children, but you are still working with older children. So,
Right.
you know, it's worked out. Mr. Calvin, your desire to help people as well, doing it in a different way. So I like to start out the program this way because I think sometimes for the students in the audience, they're thinking, well, what do you want to be? And at 17, that is such a tough question. You don't know what you want to do. You have ideas, you have
Right.
lofty goals, but again, without that support, which a lot of us didn't have thinking back 15, 20, 30 years ago, there really wasn't. There weren't workshops like this. If you didn't meet with a guidance counselor, that's it.
Right.
So I'm very
That's
thankful and glad that you two could come on and
Froze up a little.
Yeah.
I admire your academic journey. I mean, the persistence, I think, is something that, you know, a lot of people fall off. And I tell a lot of students that I work with, you know, college is like a filter. You know, if it was easy, then everyone would have a degree, you know. So what is it that you're going to do to make sure that, you know, you don't fall within, you know, you're not a statistic, or you don't fall within that filter that's out to, you know, not have you get to where you want to be.
Right.
You know,
right.
so I definitely admire your journey.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Journey it was. And, you know, a lot of things that drove that journey too, you know, losses, you know, personal losses, and just, you know, just making myself, you know, that drove me. Like, you know, my brother, he took care of the family after our parents passed on. And so he got sick, and that was a tough loss. And I knew I needed something to take my mind off that loss. I've been somewhere in a corner, walled up, you know, but sometimes we need something to help drive us and push us. And that did it. And every day when I look back, and I always think, well, I hope they're looking down on me and they're proud of me. And I like to think that they are, because it wasn't easy. When I tell you, you know, and again, to your point, and I appreciate that, but this segment is too short for me to even go into all the different, you know, obstacles that got in the way. But at the end of the day, and I tell my students the same thing, you know, never give up on what it is that you want in life and your dream. There's going to be times when you're going to feel like, oh my gosh, what did I get myself into? Or, oh my gosh, I can't do it. But there's nothing that you can't do, long as you have that drive and you have people that are there that are willing to help you and, you know, get you to the next step. And here we are, you know, we are those people that will help them. And I had family, you know, but not with the expertise that, you know, could really, you know what I'm saying? So yes, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I don't want to dwell on that, but thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. You're back.
I'm back. I'm back. I don't know what happened with my internet. I have to talk to my provider. So I don't know what last bit you heard me say, but we're talking about the 2-year versus 4-year school. So let's talk about, we're talking to seniors now. Most kids, not most, but a lot of students have sent out their applications. But we know, I was talking with Mr. Calvin earlier, and we were saying how there are a lot of seniors who have no idea. They haven't even met with their counselor yet.
Right.
So are those the kids that we'd want to start looking, maybe having them look more at a 2-year school versus a 4-year school? What are we saying to these kids? What are we telling them are the advantages of going to a 2-year versus a 4-year school at this point?
Calvin, do you want to go first? Or
yeah, sure. I could definitely go. So I tell students both, you know, at the end of the day, you know, you have there's a lot of 4-year colleges that are rolling a mission, you know, so they're accepting applications through the spring, through the summer, as well as a lot of the 2-year colleges. So I always tell students to apply to, both 4-year and 2-year schools. There was a bad stigma, years ago about the 2-year colleges. There's been a lot of work around, building up the 2-year colleges with the tuition-free plans in some of the states. They have it wherein if you have a certain GPA, you can go to the community colleges for free, or depending upon your financial aid status or GPA. Every state varies, but there were ways that they were trying to build the community college. Just eliminate that stigma that community college was like less than a 4-year school. And to be honest, if I would have known, like Dr. said earlier, the things I know now, you save about $20,000 to $25,000 a year by taking some of the by going to community college. So when you're thinking about, especially if you're undecided, it's not. And the reason why I said that I admire your journey, because it's not where you start, it's where you finish. So it's okay to take, say, what I'm going to go to community college for my first year, get all my gen eds, and then, look at the 4-year college that I want to go to and make sure that I take all of the general courses that first year. This way I'm transferring in all 100 level courses, going into my second year. So there's ways to maximize, your experience, so when people talk about the 2-year versus the 4-year, my biggest thing that I tell students with the 4-year college is most of the time, it's just the student really wants to get away from their parents. They want to live on their own. And when you think about the college experience, that's what the college experience is. It's everything that happens outside of the classroom, in the extracurricular activities. Now, that's something that, I think you pay for, and that's the price that you pay when you go to college. But if you're looking at trying to maximize the least amount of loans, and get into the workforce earlier, a lot of students are taking the community college route, and finding some employment after 2 years. To the point where now they have an employer paying for their last 2 years. So, I mean, these are things that I've just learned, working in higher ed, that wasn't really, previewed to as a high school senior. It was just 4-year college. You got to go to 4-year school. You got to get your bachelor. 2 years, that's for the people that, maybe had struggled in high school. That was the stigma back then. Right. Now I see more students saying, I'm going to a community college. I mean, I'm talking about 3.5. I'm seeing these applications, 3.5 students saying, you know what, I'm going to community college for my first year. Then I'm going to transfer in to save me, $20,000 that year. So it varies on the student. To go back to your question, I tell students to apply to both and then see which schools give you the most money.
Right. Yeah. And you're absolutely right. Because I always say, it shouldn't have to be 4-year versus 2-year in terms of competition, right? It should be more partnership. And that's what I like about community colleges too. Look, I went to a 4-year school. Had I known back then, right, what I know now, I probably would have taken a different route and saved some money and not have over $100,000 in student loans right now, right? But it is what it is. When I think about, and I can speak for Bergen, right, Bergen Community College, and as well as other community schools too. Bergen has over 120 certificate and undergraduate degree programs, 120. And that's a lot. And when I look at, I had this pamphlet of all the different colleges within just New Jersey alone. The only school that trumped that was Rutgers in terms of degree programs and certificates. So when you were talking about the stigma that was attached to community college, that has now almost dissipated in a sense, right? It now, when I think about it, I walk through the halls of Bergen, I'm on the steering committee for the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Council, right? And so as diverse as it is, I'm hoping that we become even more diverse, right? In a sense that I see more people of color there. And that's what we want to see, because quite frankly, other groups have figured it out. Asian Americans have figured it out. All different groups, cultural groups have figured it out. It's our young people haven't quite got there yet in terms of community colleges and understanding all the opportunities that it can get you there. So when we talk about the New Jersey Stars program, we talk about how you can obviously, depending on your GPA, get free education, all the various clubs that they have, the different opportunities, even the certificate programs. We have continuing ed for those that maybe don't want necessarily a degree program, but want to get into, I had this pamphlet I was looking at the other day, and I couldn't believe all the programs that we have. And so when I think about that, and I just read you a few of them: pharmacy technician, certified nursing assistant, plumbing, electric, elevator inspection, AutoCAD, and it goes on. What's the other one? Interior design, fashion design, welding, phlebotomist. The STEM program is amazing. They have apprenticeship programs as well. And the beauty of it too, when you mentioned about, you come to a community college and you think it's subpar, or it's not up to the standards possibly of a four-year school. It's so far from the truth. When I work with over 600 part-time faculty adjuncts, and when I tell you that the number of them that have doctorates is mind-blowing. Doctorates and master's degrees. So you can't teach unless you're at a master's level. But there are some certificate programs where you can teach with a bachelor's, but those are certificate programs, right? And then you have our full-time faculty, same thing, doctorate levels, faculty, as well as master level people. So we use the same books, same textbooks that four-year colleges uses for those first 2 years. And I always say to young people, I understand wanting to go away. I understand wanting to have a different experience on campus, being a part of maybe certain Greeks, and joining certain fraternities, sororities, things like that. But that first 2 year amount of tuition and fees and money that you pay, you're getting the same education, because again, you should be focusing on those general ed courses, right? Taking those same general ed courses you're taking 2 years at a four-year school, you can take at a 2-year school, right? And save half the amount of money, if not more, and then transfer. We have so many transfer programs, transferring into Rutgers. We partnered with, I think it's called Stratford University just recently. And there's several others. What's the other one? That's William Patterson is another one. And there's about 4 or 5, if not more, colleges that we partner with where all our credits are accepted, So there's a lot there. There's the opportunities are endless in terms of what you can achieve, and it just goes on and on. And so, if it's about, and I always say, again, focusing, money is obviously a criteria, right? That's a big deal. And so we all want, quality education and not have to, go in debt and get it. And so this is definitely a start, especially for young people that maybe you don't know what you want to major in right now. Well, this is a great time to, look at maybe a 2-year school that can help you in choosing that major for yourself, and sitting with, a counselor, trying to identify your interests and your values, passions, and seeing where your interest lies, and then thinking about what position or what major I'm going to choose that's going to help me land a job, and I'm going to be happy in 10, 15 years down the road. That's extremely important. But I know we didn't get into talking about how to choose a major or anything like that yet. But definitely being undecided is not the worst thing. You know, sometimes it's actually a good thing to start out with, because then it gives you a chance to kind of figure it out as you go along, long as you know that, you know, at some point you got to nail it down, but you have an opportunity to just have a wide spectrum of opportunities available to you so that you can kind of, you know, feel your way through and say, you know what, all these things are here available to my, you know, at my fingertips. So what is it that I really want to do, and, you know, and move forward in that fashion.
And to piggyback off of what you were saying, Bergen credits, they're not just limited to New Jersey. All of the 3 colleges that I worked with in Boston, I've received transfer students from Bergen that were looking to relocate to Boston. That's honest truth, you know. So it's not saying that just because they don't, you know, have an articulation agreement, they're an accredited university. So you know, their credits, as long as you take a 100 level course and you get a C or better, you know, most colleges accept those credits, you know. So it's really just trying to figure out, you know, what college you really want to go to. And it doesn't depend, I mean, it doesn't matter what your GPA is now. It could be a 1.0, it could be a 4.0. You know, having some of these community colleges as an option is something that can wind up saving you money on the you know, in the long run. Another thing that you mentioned too, you mentioned plumbing and you mentioned electric, the trades. That's something that's not really talked about in our community, and that's a missing field that, you know, you can go and get a certificate in plumbing and come out making 55, 60K in a year, you know. So you have that student that is, you know, says, you know what, I don't like English, I don't like math, I'm a hands-on learner, I'm good with my hands, you teach me, I'm going to make it happen. That student should go and look at a trade school, you know, trade and technology, because, you know, that seems like something that you may be good in, and you might as well go and pursue that. It sounds like Bergen has that opportunity. You know, we offer, I'm a trade, Benjamin Franklin Institute of Technology, where we have all trade, all STEM, all technical and trade fields. So when you think about a lot of the skilled positions, and that's a missing art that no one talks about, and there's a high demand, high demand. You know, we have an 83% career placement rate for our students in industry, with an average of 42K as a starting salary. Now, this is after 1 year. So this includes our 1 year certificates as well as our 2 year associate degrees, you know, and these are the same numbers that 4-year colleges are telling students, you know, come and get your bachelor degree and come out making 40K, you know. So when you start thinking about, you know, ways to be marketable, you know, and I study business, there's no knock to business, but there's 10,000 people graduating with a business degree every year, you know, or more, depending upon where you are. You know, how can you make yourself more marketable? You know, so looking in fields that not too many people are talking about, you know, so just really expanding your thought process on you know, some of the career options that are out there. A lot of it comes from just asking questions. You know, you see someone that's out there. I know that we're kind of going into like picking your major, the undecided, but we're kind of just flowing. You know, but a lot of that comes from like asking questions. You know, you see someone that's doing something that looks entertaining or looks like something that you could see yourself doing. You know, ask them, how did they get there? You think about electrical engineering. You know, if you're good in math, you're good in science. The average electrical engineer with that bachelor degree, you're making 80, 90K easily. You know, and what better way than to start at a 2-year college and build those credits, because you know what you have to take. So there's a lot of conversations that I would strongly encourage you to have, you know, and it starts with just asking questions. You know, there is no silly question. You You know, there are people that are 45, 50, 60, 70 years old that still don't know what they want to do. So for you to be 15, 16, 17, 18 years old trying to figure out what you want to do with the rest of your life, that's fine. A third of the students in the country going to college undecided. A third.
Yeah.
You know, and then the percentages of students that change their major once they're there, I don't even want to scare you.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so it's fine. It's okay. You know,
Yeah.
but
Exactly.
a lot of that comes a lot of that can be eliminated by you asking questions. You know, like, you know, oh, I like what she's doing. What is the name of your title? You know, how did you get there? You know, can I shadow?
Yeah, exactly. And you're right. And you want to ask questions like, is it employable? You know, in other words, you know, I just wrote down some notes for myself. Will you be able to easily and readily find employment in a related field after you get your degree, right? Will it be around later in life? You know, will it pay? Like, what kind of pay are you looking to earn? You know, there's so much, and there's actually, and I can share it later. I don't know the actual website right now, but there's like a little, I think, like not a quiz, but like it's a way that you can take a little personality quiz that kind of aligns you with what type of jobs that are more directed towards your personality, and it kind of helps a person think about certain areas they would like to. So what should I major in quiz? That's one of the name. And another one is college major personality quiz. It's from Thought CO. So yeah, and you know, you just have to give yourself some time, you know, to think about it and to think about, meeting with your advisors, like you had said earlier, and also, you know, talking to your peers, like you also had mentioned, and speak with your parents. Just sit down with them, and you probably already have done that, I'm sure, you know, and just really think about, you know, you're going to change your mind. It's very possible. Maybe you won't, but you know, when you start talking to people, you say, well, I thought that's what I wanted to do, but maybe this is better, you know, and maybe electrical field is somewhere I want to get into, men and women, you know, do that. Now, you know, my son is a perfect example. He went to Bergen for the first year. It just wasn't for him, you know, but then he wind up taking courses he went to Lincoln, and he got certified as an electrical technician. And so now he's working as an apprentice for a licensed electrician. So, you know, but so he would not have probably known that, you know, initially. And it's so funny. I thought about, you know, so many parents think about, oh, I need my children to maybe go away to school to kind of get into themselves, to become more mature, to learn. But oftentimes I find that, you know, sometimes students, and I know we're kind of going in a different direction a little bit, that go away, you know, find themselves doing some of the same things they did when they were home. And you think you're growing and learning, and maybe some are, but you find that, you know, you still got to go to class. You still have to study. You still have to be responsible for yourself, even if you're at home going to a 2-year school, or whether you're at home going to a 4-year school, right? So, but it's the wonderful part about it is that after that 2 years at that college, you can go off to that 4-year school, you know, and do all those things, but you've already got your associates at that point, right? Mm-hmm. You can actually leave there with an associate's degree and then transfer on to get your bachelor's. Bergen also has a program for high school into that they partner with. I forget the name, the high school, what town it is. I know they were doing it with Englewood at one point, because two of my niece and my nephew, my niece graduated in the first group that actually she started out and as a high school student her freshman year, and she graduated with her diploma, her high school diploma, and then 2 days later she graduated with her associates during simultaneously. So they have that program there as well. I know we're talking to seniors today, but if you know of anybody that, you know, would fit into that, that's a wonderful program. Because can you imagine? I mean, there's no money spent for that. that's part of that program getting in, what a savings in itself. And so, there's a lot.
Let me piggyback off of that, not to cut you off. Take advantage of the dual enrollment, and that's exactly what Dr. Manny is talking about. You can still enroll in dual enrollment for next semester. So spring semester starts in January. If you're a high school junior, if you're a high school senior, this is a perfect opportunity for you to take a free math class, a free English class, and then graduate with 6 credits that you can transfer into any college that you want to go into. These, and like I said, it's free. So let's say you struggle and you fail. At least now you know what it takes and what to expect. So the next time when you actually paying for it, you're already prepared for it. It's no surprise. And to be honest with you, it's not really that much of a major difference. It's just you really having to write a little bit more and read a little bit more, so it's not like, there's always a forced narrative that comes with the expectation of college. It's not, well, to me, and I don't think that it's souped up to what everyone makes it seem. Once you start it and you're like, oh, and you start doing it, you adjust to it. It's just like high school, when you were in middle school and you were afraid of high school because, it was this big, mighty thing. You get there freshman year, you're like, it was just like 8th grade. I just have to do a little bit more homework, and then every grade progressed just like that. It's the same transition, except for you won't have all of the follow-up. So like the teachers won't be hounding you if you don't turn in your work. They're not calling your parents immediately if you miss class, so now it becomes a responsibility thing. How responsible are you? We all talk about how grown we are. We tell our parents we grown, leave us alone, things of that nature. This is the opportunity for you to do that. That college experience gives you the opportunity to show how mature and how grown you are to own up to your responsibilities.
You're absolutely right, because FERPA rules restrict parents from being able to do a lot of that. So there's no immediately calling. You can't even speak to parents on certain issues. So there's no phone calls at home. And, I have a couple of high school students in my sociology class that are doing the dual enrollment, and they get treated just like the rest of the students in the class. And as much as, and I've heard so many times, and sometimes, I like to think and hope that, counselors, are doing exactly what you're saying, Calvin, in terms of, is it okay to call you Calvin?
Yeah, definitely.
And call me Debbie, okay? So, I hope that they all are also explaining to students about community college and the opportunities, because oftentimes students, have the impression it's like going to after 12 years, the 13th year of high school. And it's so farthest from the truth, it's furthest from the truth, because at the end of the day, I have certain things that I expect of my students, but we also, with the community college, we understand a lot of things are working. They have families, some have families, some have children, and they have other responsibilities, or they're just at home, and decided to do 2 years here, and they're just going full force ahead and wanting to get their degree and doing whatever they need to do it. But at the end of the day, the responsibility is the same regardless, because when I look at my students, I say to them, high school is over now. You're here in a college setting. The expectations are one that you're now being held accountable for. Now, of course, I work with them and I talk to my adjuncts, the part-time faculty, and I say the same thing, especially during COVID. We have to do whatever we can to help our students be successful and help them along the way, and so if it means a particular quiz or assignment might have been a little late because they're taking care of a parent or something like that, we try to work with them. But at the end of the day, it's not 13 years of school, the 13th year of school. It is definitely it is definitely an atmosphere where you are an adult and you're coming in there now knowing what it is that, you know, or trying to figure out where it is you want to go. And we're there to help you get there, you know, and I try to stress that with them, you know, that I have given my number out to students even when they leave, because, you know, a different, you know, resources of people I know and connections, and try to help them along the way, even in their own, you know, in their own career development. And so that if there's something I can do, you know, how many letters have I written? I'm sure you have written as well, you know, to get into their next, you know, next phase in life, whether it's, you know, a job reference, or whether it's, you know, another school that they're looking to transfer to. So, you know, I think it's the community. When they say community college, it truly is a community where people really do, you care. And I'm not suggesting that four-year colleges don't, but because the size and because of, you know, the emphasis that we put on community, we want all students to know that we are here to help you to succeed and to get to the next step. And in their professional and personal growth is what we try to build on and provide those educational opportunities for.
Yeah, so a few things that you both said I kind of want to relate to. When I went to nursing school at Holy Name, I had the opportunity to take sociology at Bergen. I did my high school year, lived in Jersey City, and people talk about, oh, Hudson Community, but then I had the opportunity to go to Bergen. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I talk to people now who work at Hudson Community, and they talk about the opportunities there. And then through College Cafe, even though it's called college, over the years, as I've been doing the workshops, I'm talking about the students who may want to go to trade school, because you're going to have to pay for that. And I say that the doctors, lawyers, engineers are going to need a mechanic, a plumber, and a hairdresser. So if you're better with your hands, then maybe a trade school is where you need to go and where you need to start. I always say, though, definitely take some business courses, because you eventually may want to be your own boss. So the point is, where are you starting and where are you going to finish? Like Calvin said. And then when we're talking about the kids who aren't prepared to go off to college, I always encourage families as well. During high school, that's your time to explore and do summer programs when they're available. I know Bergen has some of them, and I know they have a transition program for students coming out of high school going into college if you haven't. So you're able to get that experience before you even start classes officially in the fall. So lots of opportunities there. And we kind of touched on deciding on a major, going undecided. So you've already made it clear that it's okay to be undecided, and it's okay to switch your major. Any other tips or information to help guide students? Like I said, we've got seniors who are probably listening. So how do they figure out, okay, what do I want to major in?
Well, I would say if they can, you know, sit down and really think about what it is that they would be happy doing. You know, I don't know. Do you, like when I talked about helping, healing people, right? I wanted to be a doctor, but found that I was just too squeamish, right? When it came to being around, you know, cutting up and blood. And not that I, you know, and at that time didn't mean I had to be a surgeon. I could have just been a regular doctor where I didn't have to be around blood. But I think you have to take biology courses and you have to do those type of things, right? But I think it's just real important when you want to try to select a major, you just really have to identify your interests and what your passion is and your abilities too. You need to know, you know, some people know what it is, you know, they're very good at early on. Some still have to think about, you know, what it is that what it is that I enjoy. Some people pick majors based on values that they have. You know, it's interesting. Not just values, their interests, their passion. And like I said earlier, where do you see yourself years from now doing? You know, you have to be happy in what it is you want to do. And again, you may not, you know, hit it out the park. You know, I didn't. You know, I had to stumble along the way and kind of figure it out. Thankfully, you know, I was able to find my way. I think everyone finds their way eventually, but I would caution anyone, especially when you're signing up for these classes, if you're undecided, don't start, enrolling in courses that go towards a particular major, because at the end of the day, if you find that's not the direction you're going in, that's just money spent that is not going to help you, achieve that, the major you really truly want to get into. I find so many students, may sign up for, they may want to be, you said sociology. And so those are people that generally want to get into, what's that major where you are?
Psych, human services, social worker.
Social worker, thank you. So I get a lot of students that, that want to get into social work and things like that. And then turns out, a year they decide they changed their mind. And so now you got all these courses that you've taken and, now you've paid for them, but now you got to look a different, go a different route because that's not what you want to do anymore, So take those general ed courses, get those out the way, because then hopefully by then you will figure it out or have a good idea of where you want to go. And I think you said earlier, Calvin, about business administration, you can never go wrong. And, because everyone needs business background, whether it is, like you said earlier, Dr. Ketsia, that, if you decide to go out on your own and have your own business, you're going to need to have some business background and understanding. That's why I was glad I was able to get my business degree and my MBA. I mean, at the end of the day, I use it all the time in various different ways, even though I'm teaching and, dean, but, my full-time position is the dean role. I only teach part-time, and so I'm constantly using those skills that I've learned along the way, and they will carry me in life forever, right? So, and again, there's STEM is a huge area now. If you're good in math or science and you want to do something, that's going nowhere. That's going to be around for a long time to come. And it's just really important to the school that you choose, look at all the different opportunities and the different programs, the certificate programs, the degree programs that they have, and look to see, is there anything in there that I think will fit and in line with something that I may want to do later on in life, or where I want to get my degree. So you don't want to limit yourself. So, there's a lot to think about, but not to be overly worried or concerned about, because you will figure it out. You will know, and it'll hit you. It'll be like that one day. It's like, oh, I got it. I know what I want to do, and I've done my GEDs. I got my general eds all out the way. So now I can declare a major and start moving on. And whether that major is declared at that four-year institution, then that's okay too. Because you leave I'm saying Bergen, you leave that community college with with that associate's degree, and now you're moving on to your four-year school. So yeah. So that's what I wanted to share about that. And then, again, meet with your advisors. Definitely sit down with them and make time, and career advisors too. You have your academic advisors, and you have career advisors too. And then they can also kind of help you maybe, pick your brain about things you like and want to do, or just share different ideas with you. And talking to your peers, like you said before, Calvin, that's so important as well. And because it helps you also to kind of get a sense of what your peers are thinking and, what direction they're going in. And is that something that's good for you? Maybe it isn't, and then all too is important. And again, I just was doing some research on my own. look for disadvantages before choosing a major as well. And some of them, they said, determine how likely you'll be to switch majors. You know, that's important. If you switch, how rigid are the prerequisites in doing so? So if your first choice is something in medicine, just like I was saying, but you're inkling that you might want to change to financial management later down the line, it says the electives and core classes will probably be completely different. So that's really important. You want to be careful with that.
So I want to add on to that. So I know we talk about like gen eds, and people are like, well, okay, yeah, well, what is that? You know, well, what classes should I be taking? Right. So, you know, if you're undecided, my advice, and Debbie, feel free to add on, you know, I would say look at a 12 to 15 credit course load, where you would take an English, a math class, a social science, and a humanities course. But then that fifth class, that could be your 15th credit, that could be your intro to something that you may be interested in. Now, the thing about that is if you go into business, there's lots more open electives that, you know, potentially all those credits will go into. But if you look, you know, if you're looking to go into more of a niche program, like a nursing program or something that doesn't really have, you know, a lot of open electives, you may only transfer in that English and that math course depending upon, you know, how rigorous that curriculum is from the first semester moving forward. You know, so those are just so when people think about when you think about like gen ed courses, you think more so about the English, the math, social science, and humanities. So like that first semester, if you're undecided, those are the safe courses to take. You know, you definitely want to take an English, you definitely want to take a math, a social science, and a humanities course. That will give you
no matter what. Yep.
Right. You know, so then that second semester is when you really want to start to figure out, all right, this is the direction that I'm going, because that's the semester that you really should start taking classes that are more geared toward the program that you plan on going into. So we talked about a lot about the 2-year experience. I want to transition a little bit and talk about, you know, some of the students that may already have their mind set on the 4-year. You've already got accepted to the 4-year school, and now you're figuring out, all right, how do I make myself marketable? What should I expect there, right? So one of the biggest things that I tell people, you know, when you're stepping onto that 4-year institution, by your sophomore year, you want to find somewhere that you can volunteer that's in your field, right? So if I'm in business, you know, I'm studying business, I want to volunteer at a marketing agency for 1 or 2 hours a week, you know, and you want to start that your sophomore year. This is my secret to success. You know, you want to start that your sophomore year, and there's a reason behind that. So I'm a business major. I start volunteering, and you can easily find somewhere to volunteer. Like most people will not tell you no. If you're volunteering, you're not asking for money, but there's a bigger picture behind this. So I start my sophomore year, and I volunteer at this marketing firm for two hours a week. They like me. They bring me back my junior year. They like me. Bring me back my senior year. After my senior year, they tell me that, you know, there isn't a spot for me, but, you know, they're willing to write a letter of recommendation for any place that I do have a job for. What happens is you hear a lot of people graduate from the 4-year colleges, and they talk about they can't find work in the industry or they can't find a job. And part of that reason is because most jobs ask for 3 to 5 years of experience, you know, for that you know, for that entry level, sometimes even entry level position. By you volunteering starting your sophomore year, when you graduate as a senior, you have 3 years of experience, and that's only 2 hours a week. Right. You know, the employer is not going to ask you how many hours. They're going to see that you are a college student and you volunteer and you were in the industry for 3 years. that experience right there is going to put you steps ahead of all of the people that will be graduating with that very common degree, because most people, what we're tuned, and what we were taught was go to school, do well, and 4.0 would get you to XYZ. If you don't have that work experience, that could be the deciding factor, so that's my advice for and it could be in any field, even nursing, you're volunteering. You're just going there. You're just saying, hey, listen, I just want to just be a sponge. I just want to soak up what I can, learn what I can, be on any type of meeting, shadow anyone I can, just for 2 hours a week.
Mm-hmm.
And you do that for the 3 years. That's a key element that will get you into a lot more doors that a lot of people are seeing that they can't seem to open.
Right. That's great advice. That's absolutely great advice, because it is so true. Just think about it. At that point, maybe there wasn't a position available at that time for you, but you got that letter of recommendation from that employer, right? But the hope is that, who knows, down the line, for someone else, an opportunity will present itself. And oftentimes, I have to be completely honest, when I'm about to say this, is that we oftentimes have to go the extra yard, right? To get to where we want to be in life. It's just reality, right?
Yes.
So it means going out and doing, 2 hours a week or whatever it is that you indicated. That's what we have to do. But again, it puts us, I would like to think at the top of the list when it's time to looking at, resumes and positioning. It's all about positioning ourselves, right? Position ourselves for success. And so sometimes we have to step outside of our comfort zone and do a little bit more than maybe our peers or, our counterparts. But the experience that we gain by doing that not only is going to help us down the road later, and only going to position us to be better and to be successful in whatever field we decide to go in. So that's absolutely great advice. And I my son, I have yet to really share that type of advice, but that's something I'm going to do, because I really love what you just said there, because, if I can share it with my nieces and nephews, or why not I share it with the young people that I teach. But I think that's phenomenal. And I think it really does. It goes far. It goes a long way, being in that position, and just knowing that you're kind of a step ahead of everyone else in a sense, but you put in the work, you did it,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Thank you for sharing that.
Definitely.
Yeah, no, I like that too, because definitely a lot of times our students are thinking money and dollars,
right?
But you can't put a price on that volunteer or that non-paying internship volunteer hours, because it will translate into a job or an opportunity that you weren't thinking about.
Yeah.
And the employers are looking for students who have had experience besides the classwork. They don't just want to see that you're a straight 4.0 and haven't done anything.
Right.
It doesn't show much time management. And like you said, they're not really asking how many hours you're doing. They just see that my last 3 years of school, I was working at blah, blah, blah company, and I still managed to maintain a 3.7 GPA and what I needed to do.
Right.
So I think that is like awesome advice for the students who are listening on the call, because it's really, really important. So I wanted to ask a quick question, because you both are working at two different type of institutions. Dr. Manning, yours is a freestanding 2-year school. And then Mr. Calvin, yours is, you've got an associate's program within a 4-year institution. So you find that students make the transitions easier being at that type of school environment, or does it not matter?
Yeah, we're really a 2-year trade and technology school, and we offer 3 bachelor degree programs. One being electrical engineering, which is our full-fledged bachelor degree program. And then we have health information technology, which is a 2+2 program that we have, as well as automotive management. But all of our other programs are associate degree programs, and then we offer a certificate program. So like HVAC, practical electricity for people that want to be an electrician, automotive. But something that I like about Benjamin Franklin is we have this stackable approach now. So, you know, students are able to come in and do a certificate and then stack that certificate into an associate degree. So any student that's interested in any of our computer information technology programs, that first year is all trade and technical courses, wherein they will have a certificate in either web and multimedia, software development, or network and system support. And then that second year, they can either, you know, they can see what type of job opportunities are offered within that certificate after the first year, or they can come back that second year, take a few more classes, and then have their add all those credits to get their associate degree in computer information technology. So that's the approach we have, and we also have it with our electrical engineering, being that we know that that's a very rigorous math and science type of program. We have a stackable approach where students can start that first year and receive a certificate in electronics technology, transfer that certificate into our MECA associate degree, transfer those credits into our bachelor degree program. And the good thing I like about that is we all know people that have college credits with no degrees. Right. So this allows us, even if a student started out in an associate degree and they started struggling, we can say, hey, you know what? Based upon your credits, you can finish up this year and you will at least have your certificate. So it gives them an opportunity to leave with something instead of, coming in and, just accumulating all these credits, debt, and then leaving with nothing. So that's a new approach, and I'm quite sure that that's something that we'll start to see, around the country, because there's a lot of work and a lot of talk about providing students with the opportunity that Debbie said earlier, with students graduating high school with certificates or with an associate degree. So that's something that we will see. I want to say within the next 5 years, we will see a lot of more schools, colleges, high schools really coming together to figure out what that senior year for that high school student looks like. Do they get fully released to the college where they take the college credits and those credits count toward their high school requirements and also meet their college requirements? That's something that we offer at Benjamin Franklin called our ASAP program, where students are graduating their senior year as a sophomore at Benjamin Franklin. So you got a whole year for free. Now you only have, while your friends are going into their freshman year, you're going into your sophomore year, and then you'll have your associate degree at the end of that first year. So that's something that, and like I said, that goes back to the whole dual enrollment model. When you talk about taking classes while you're in high school, definitely something I encourage people to take advantage of. It's free. You have nothing to lose.
That's right.
Everything to gain.
No, I definitely talk about your niece, Dr. Deborah, because I know her. She's one of my former students. And I talk about that, financially, yes, you finish high school with an associate, so you're almost halfway to a bachelor's degree if that's your choice, or you just finish right there and you're in the working world. And if you want to go back to school, you have that option. But it opens up so many more doors.
Yeah, and it was such a proud moment to be on the stage with her. And when she got her associate's degree, when she had just got her diploma, and to hug her and take a picture with her because I was handing out degrees, and it was just to be able to give her hers. It was just amazing. And the opportunities are just endless. Now she's at Hampton and she's very happy there, but she went there, right? And into it as a junior. And so she's almost done. So it's just really, it's a wonderful program. And I think you were mentioning, we have that same or similar program that you spoke of, our continuing ed group, ed department, have where you could take a certificate program and transfer it into the academic side of it. And so, those are the opportunities that are so important to give to students, the flexibility, of being able to choose freely and know that it's endless of all the different opportunities. And that's what like you said, a lot of colleges, if they're not doing it now, they will be doing it shortly, because that is the path for success for students. Most definitely. We have an amazing nursing program as well. And so again, for all that, community college, four-year institutions that offer, it's just so important to research the school that you're going to, research that school, see all the different opportunity and offerings that they offer to their students, and go from there. What are the transfer options available, because that's going to be very, very important, whether you go to a four-year school and then, want to go on to get your master's degree, right? But once you've achieved, and I always say, for me, I would say to students, when they're at Bergen, just finish and walk that green and get your associates, because once you got it, right? You can go on into that four-year school as a junior, right? And because some will take those credits and then transfer them in, you can do that too. But what's wrong with having 2 degrees, right? Associates and then your bachelor's as well. And I just think because once you have that degree, then you can always, that goes on your resume, and it's just and it shows your path, as you go along. It just kind of speaks to who you are and what you've achieved throughout your journey. And whether it's transfer or just getting that degree, I think it's all relative in a sense,
Definitely.
Absolutely. So any other words of advice, wisdom we want to give our students? And I know sometimes there might be some students thinking graduating high school who may have to take remedial courses, because I know that happens a lot as well.
That's fine.
So
yeah. That's fine. I mean, a lot of the students, I mean, I know a lot of students wouldn't like to or don't. Here's the thing. If you know that you're struggling in math or English, try it out. Try taking the college level next semester, because you can take the remedial course, and then once you pass that course, you're eligible for the 100 level. So even if you're struggling right now in high school, but you know that that's not the true you, challenge yourself to a free college course, and then if you pass that class, that will get you into the 100 level.
Right.
That would be. I encourage everyone to take advantage of the free courses, while you're a high school student, because that's the only way that you can really gauge whether or not gauge really where you are. It may be you're fatigued at your high school. That happens. You just need a new scenery. Something new. Try it out.
Yeah, and you're right. And, and even if, like you said, even if you may be struggling in one particular area, whether it's reading or math or what have you, most community colleges, at least, and I'm not, maybe you could speak, Calvin, to a four-year institution, but I know at Bergen, we don't turn anyone away, right? It's an open door policy. And so we meet students where they are. Right. And so if you come in and you test in, we see where you are, and we'll make sure that you get the proper help you need. Bergen has one of the #1 tutoring centers in the country. And I'm proud to say that. And so they work really hard with their students. There's so much help that's given. And I try to tell my students all the time, take advantage of what's there to help you, whether it's writing a paper, whether learning APA, right, or MLA, whichever that instructor is requiring of you. Whether it's math, they have phenomenal instructors. And so don't be discouraged or think that, I might not be exactly where I want to be. That's okay. You'll get there to where you need to be. It may take you, a couple of courses to get where you have to be, but, or more, there's no, there's students, unfortunately, and I know most people say, oh, that's not going to be me, but there's some students that have been at Bergen like 3-4 years, because they can't take a full load, of courses because they have other responsibilities. So maybe they're taking a couple of courses a semester, 2 or 3. And so it may take them a little bit longer. But you said something earlier, Calvin, it's not where you start, it's where you end, right? And so long as you get that degree, don't be discouraged by anything. Everyone's path is different. Everyone's timeline is different, and so you can't compare yourself to, a friend or someone else. You have to, decide your own path and your own journey to where you need to be. And so, and know that you will get there. Know that you will get there, and you will have the help that you need. What's most important is that you ask, though. We won't know unless you don't ask. And so many people get hung up on not asking, oh, I can do it myself. Well, we've all been there. We all know that everyone needs help. And so at the end of the day, there's no shame in asking for help. That's what the school is there for, to help you, right, to succeed. And so with all the opportunities available to you, definitely take advantage of it.
Well, I don't see any questions in the chat. So I want to take this time to thank you both for joining us on a Monday evening. Just to talk to the students, because as I said, we're hearing it's senior year and there's been a lot of seniors are feeling a little disconnect coming back to school and not having known who their counselor was, or not even having a conversation. So, it's good that we're able to have this dialogue and to let the students know that there are opportunities, even if you didn't start the process to get to college, and you can find something that you can be strong in and make a career, later on down the line, whether it's 2, 5, or 10 years from now.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Sky's the limit. You can do whatever it is you set your mind and heart's desires on. You can do it. It's the beginning. It's the beginning of so much more to come. So
yes.
Good luck to all of you. Good luck to all of you. I know you will do well.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. So I want to say thank you again to Mr. Calvin Conyers from Benjamin Franklin Institute of Technology, to Dr. Deborah Manning from Bergen Community College for joining us this evening. And to those of you in the audience, we hope you got some information that can help you. And please feel free to reach out to College Cafe, to NAAHP, if you have any questions as we continue in this college planning series. Thank you also to Book and Write Accountancy for being our partner, and